Hey everyone, welcome back to Valley Chat. Pastor John Karolus here with Pastor Scott Seidler. And today we are talking about something exciting happening in 2026. Pastor Scott, what is on the horizon?
Oh, it's the new year, 2026. It is unbelievably, if you can imagine, 6 years since COVID, which just is amazing that we as a congregation, Shepherd of the Desert, have not only, come through these years, but we are more wind of the Holy Spirit is at our back than ever before. So this 2026, after our initial vision series that is going to take us January into early February, we are going to go into a small group sprint. We are going to run for 6 weeks, week after week after week after week, for 6 weeks through Lent. And we are going to have an intentional life group, small group, cell group. You call the group what you want to call the group, but just make sure you get into the group. We are going to groupify Shepherd of the Desert Lutheran Church in Scottsdale in order to build stronger bonds of friendship, dive deeper into a topic that has communal significance, the topic of forgiveness. So we're going to do a small group sprint and see how it goes. That is what we are about. John, since I piloted this idea about 2 hours ago, what do you think about this idea?
Uh, the idea of small groups in general. I would say what I love about this in particular is that it is a answer to some of the expressed priorities and desires of the congregation across both our
Exactly.
campuses. This is
Yep.
something that the people who call Shepherd home want to do and want to have in place and build the habit of practicing. And
Right.
so it's one of those transcendent kind of universal values for our congregation that we have the privilege and honor of leading and participating in alongside, as you are now with the small group you're already involved with, and as I am. In a couple of different places. For a couple of years, I was a weekly participant in one of our men's Bible studies, and more recently, Kaylee and I have been trying to plug in more often with our young professionals group and the couples
Yep.
and singles that are involved there. So I could just get excited that that's a enriching, fulfilling practice of going through the Word of God together that more of our congregation is going to get to experience.
Yeah, it's great. And by the way, this is not just a 2 hour old baked idea. This has been several months, but as John mentioned, really more than that, this has been an ongoing theme in the past couple years of our Shepherd survey that we do at the end of every year. At the end of every year, we ask our Shepherd family on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you like Shepherd's ministry? How has it been spiritually benefiting you? To what degree, on a scale of 1 to 10, would you rank your spiritual experience as an intelligent Christian, in keeping with the Word of God, the Lutheran confessions, the practice of the faith, prayer, and all of that? And then we asked for qualitative data. If you weren't in a place where you feel like 100% Shepherd is the greatest, place in sliced bread, what would it take to increase or enhance your experience at Shepherd? Again, as an intelligent Christian who has something meaningful to say self-reflectively about their faith. And one of the themes that has come out again and again is small group life. Scottsdale particularly is a place where sometimes it's tough to make friends. It's tough to make friends, I think, when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, kids come along, you've got the sandwich generation effect going on. Sometimes it's hard to make friends and you need a little artificial context to do that. Small groups can be that, can also be a place where you can unload a little bit more of the burden that you carry day to day in your soul. And so we've been talking about this for a good long time, but thanks to our work with Bill Woolsey and the 5-2 team in some strategic planning, we really felt like, man, Lent would be a great opportunity to resurrect Zach Zender's Forgiving Challenge out of his Red Letter Challenge series of books as a guide for our small group life together, because it is so crisply biblical, Lenten, repentant, and most of all, incredibly Lutheran in its rhythm and pattern of talking about forgiveness, confession, and sin.
It,
So it's gonna
there's
be great.
Yeah, there's a couple of things in there that are exciting for me. One of them is, I think it's really going to enrich our Lenten journey in 2026. I think that sometimes we get into the kind of monotonous rhythm of the church calendar, and okay, it's February, it's early March, it's time to do Lent again. When's Ash Wednesday? When are those Wednesday night services? What are we talking? What depressing thing are we talking about in church on Sunday? And
Right.
this series is going to allow us, I think, to completely renew and refresh the way that we see the journey of Christ to the cross and our walk with him and his work on us, just from a topical point of view. And then
Yep.
when you do that in community, especially with a smaller community, now you're also understanding the way that that connects with you on a deeper level and with the people that God has placed you close to, whether it be because of your participation with a group. Maybe you joined a group because it's meeting close to where you live. Maybe it's people who you feel relationally close to that you want to get to know a little bit better. But that's
Right.
another thing that we're really looking forward to in terms of benefits for the congregation is this is going to allow us to form new connections that are just waiting for a little bit of push on the rock before it starts rolling down the hill and building steam. There's just, I told the Mountain View on Sunday, we welcomed over 90 new members this year, and I'm so excited for you to get to know them because we've had the chance to talk to almost all of them as pastors, but the congregation and the worshipers haven't had that same opportunity. This is one of those great opportunities for the entire congregation to say, who are the new faces in our community? Or maybe I am a new face. Who are the people that I'm walking with? How can I connect with them? So it's building up our experience of Lent. It's strengthening the experience of our community. And those two things, I think, are going to be huge takeaways for us coming into the new year.
Yeah, for sure. I think that Lent is a perfect time since we're oftentimes in Lent talking about new disciplines, making friends, making deeper connections with other human beings. Sometimes, like when you meet a new kid in first grade and he becomes your best friend like overnight. Wouldn't it be great if we had the elasticity of a first grader in that ability to make friends? But you get older, you get a little bit more calcified. It's harder to make friends. And so in the Lenten season, this idea of really kind of building the chops of a discipline whereby you are going to intentionally put yourself out there and receive courteously and amenably. How about those for some words there? I got some good words going in my New York Times crossword puzzle. I'm not lying. But to receive people who themselves are looking to offer a bit of their soul to a community, that's something that takes courage, but it goes back to this word, it takes discipline, and it's just a great fit for Lent.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a really natural building of momentum so that what starts out as maybe something that takes effort. Okay, where am I going to find time in my schedule for this? How am I going to motivate myself to stick with it after week 3 or week 4? And I want to get all the way through the series. But then as that habit builds, all of a sudden it's going to be something we look forward to, something that we want to engage with. Can you talk a little bit about the actual structure of how we're going to put this thing together? Maybe the kinds of people who we need help to make it happen, and then also the people that we encourage. This maybe is their first next step, being part of a church or being part of a discipleship community.
Yeah, and first thing I would say is this, just as an overarching statement, we don't have this all figured out. So we are using this as a learning experience. Putting a small group curriculum into action is not, they don't teach you this at seminary, do they, John?
They don't.
They do not. So we've got a number of groups right now that function. We've got a number of small groups that function. So like, for instance, groups that function would be our Thursday morning men's Bible study, our Thursday morning women's Bible study. They're not really small groups, but they're groups. They have a Bible study, but it's maybe not as small groupy if you know small group ministry with prayer, encouragement, fellowship, mission, all those kind of things wrapped in. They are going to be adopting this forgiving challenge, and so applying it into their groups. So that'll be great. And then on top of that, an added layer, we're going to be standing up from our current real, what I'll call the real small groups that are like home groups. We're going to be dividing them up into segments so that over those 6 weeks, maybe a couple households from each of those small groups become a receptor for new members, at least for this 6-week period. So for instance, I'm in a small group out here in Fountain Hills, and my small group has, I don't know, let's say 7 couples in it. We're going to divide up into 3 different mini small groups for this season, and we're going to be receptive in each of our own homes to a new small group inflow. And then on top of that, a third level is that we are just inviting people who maybe have said on that survey, hey, we need more small groups, but they are not connected with a small group, but they have been leaders before. Would you like to partner with another household so that over these 6, 7 intense weeks, you can be also a gathering spot for a cell group, home group, small group experience that others will populate? So 3 levels. It feels, from an administrative point of view, it feels pretty good. We will do this again in the fall of 2026. So that's kind of how we're going to get after it. And so we'll get those things, those leadership kind of crucibles, crucible? I don't know. Leadership groups. The leaders, the small group leaders. We're going to get them formed. And then as we move into January, into early February, we'll start populating with the folks that want to participate but not be leaders.
So for someone who isn't already established in their relationship with Shepherd programming on a weekly basis or a bi-weekly basis, there's sort of 2 levels of involvement. We're looking for people who have some level of leadership experience or leadership potential that would be open to co-hosting a small group out of their own home, sharing the responsibility of bringing people in and guiding the discussion without being too heavy-handed in, here's the script of how the night's got to go, or here are the exact things that need to be said and discussed, and allowing things to happen organically. So you got the leaders, and then you've got participants, maybe singles or couples who have some kind of connection or some commonality with those leaders, whether it be geographical or interest or demographics. And those groups are, those people will be connected to then those co-leaders, and that'll be a small group. Would you say that your 7 couple-ish size, group that meets in your home is about the size that we're looking for with this small group?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. And so I would say, John, so that answers what I'll call the structural, kind of concern about, roughly, let's say 10 to 14 people gathered in a home, led by 2, co-leaders, so that if, in 1 week, one of the leaders has to be gone for whatever reason, because 6 weeks each week is a hard ask. That's a big, heavy ask. Most small groups right now don't meet every week. And then that ability to have 2 households going. If I can talk about the program, though, we're going to have a $20 book that participants can buy. It is called the Red Letter Challenge for Giving Challenge. It has 40 days of devotion that'll be spread over the weeks of Lent. So you'll be in a cadence of every day you'll have a devotion. And then when you get to your small group environment, there's a video by the author Zach Zender. And we'll watch the video in that small group environment. It'll be consistent with the sermon on both Mountain View and Shea campuses from the previous week, and then an opportunity for discussion. And again, not trying to be overly psychotherapeutic, not trying to be overly spiritual or anything like that, but just to open up broader pathways of relationship, to be able to share the burden. I would guess that everybody in our church is currently carrying someone in their heart that they are in a place of friction, and that's generous, or they are at odds, and there is a real resistance to offer forgiveness to them. We all struggle. No one gets along perfectly in this world. By nature, we're sinful. I, like you today, John, tomorrow things could turn quickly. I don't know. I just don't know. But I need to be ready with my forgiveness capacity to respond favorably to you, you to me. And this is an opportunity programmatically to learn that capacity for giving and receiving forgiveness from another.
Right. I think that the spiritual fruit of this study and this walk together is substantial. Whether it be someone who doesn't have the ability to get into a small group, they're coming to church on Sundays, they're receiving that same message, but then knowing that the people around them in worship
Right.
have been going through that daily devotional practice, have been talking about it in the groups they might be a part of. I don't think that, aside from previous practices of a red letter challenge, which, there's the Being Challenge in 2019, there was the Red Letter Challenge, kind of the original one back in 2021. The church is in a different place socially, I would say, culturally, than it was even just 4.5 years ago. And so this is a great opportunity, I think, for us to also establish forgiveness as part of our core identity as a congregation and how we walk with and treat each other. So I'm super excited about it. I know you are too. A couple of things that we're just asking anyone who's listening to this podcast to think about. One, would you think about really prioritizing during Lent involvement with a group? Get the book, find a group that's going to work for your schedule and walk with people through this practice. And if you're excited about this program already, you are bought in as soon as you saw the title of the episode, Small Group Sprint. Would you think about leading a group or talking to Karen Patterson or Pastor Scott or myself about leading a group, and we can figure out the right level of involvement and leadership with you? Those are the two things we're really looking for you to consider.
Yep.
All right.
Hey,
thank you
John, just as a fun little ha-ha,
Yes.
we got our 2025 summary from Riverside FM Studio, who hosts, or at least is the app by which we create our podcasts. And just like Spotify gives you your 2025 playlist, which, by the way, is fascinating. John, do you have Spotify just real quick?
I do. Yeah.
How many minutes last year were you on Spotify?
I think it was something like 45,000.
Yes. Thank you, John. I was at 29,000 minutes last year. I mean, I have music on wherever I go. I mean, if I'm working out, if I'm in the car, if I'm at work, if I'm here at home, I'll have the headphones on. I mean, it goes all the time. But wow, 45,000 minutes of music in the background, John.
I'll double check that.
A whole lot.
I will, I'll fact check that for you, let you know specifically.
Please do. Please do.
And, it'll be fun to compare. The wrap up for us on this software, the word we said the most was church. And the other word we said the most was
church.
Just a lot of church.
A lot of ums and a lot of church. So I would like to congratulate us that I was watching in this podcast how many times we would say the word And I think, John, we're learning to be better podcasters. So there's a decrease in our ummage.
It's a journey. It's a journey we're on together. Thank you for tuning in. There's one for you. We hope that you have a wonderful Christmas season. Here's come a dozen ums right now. Right. Join us for worship Christmas Eve on either campus, 3:30 and 5 p.m. We'd love to have you there. Christmas Day, 10 a.m. On the 25th. And we've got church on Sundays, normal schedule on the 21st and the 28th going into the new year. We're just excited to be your faith home, and we
100%.
relish the opportunity to walk with you in a journey of faith as Christ is forming us into people more like him. Thanks for listening to today's podcast. Blessings on your Christmas and a happy new year.